it's your sis Lisa. I hope you're doing well. So more and more I've been seeing people who are like, I'm ready to date. And I was thinking about it, I was like, you know what? Your girl is ready too. But let me explain like what I mean by that, how I knew I was ready, and all that good stuff. So let's get into the video. So when we start saying we're ready to date, I think it's important that we think about like, what does dating mean or look like to us? For a while, I think the reason I wasn't ready to date was because, honestly, I'm trying to do one and done. I'm trying to date one man and then marry said man. Like breakups, I'm not interested. Like multiple like men and dating them and trying to figure it out and kissing a few frogs, I'm not interested. Honestly, if we're being transparent about it. Then I realized, Lisa, that may not be your story. For some people, that is their story. That is how it happens for them. But recently I've been like, well, Lisa, what if that's not yours? Because it hasn't happened yet. It doesn't mean it won't, but it hasn't happened yet. So what does dating mean to you? And I started to realize my definition of dating was off, honestly. Because for me, a definition of dating was like, we are boyfriend and girlfriend, period. Anything before that, we are friends. But I don't want to go out on a date. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do this. And I was like, but Lisa, how you go? For me, again, some people it works that way, but for me, I'm like, well, how are you gonna meet anybody or get to know anybody if you don't go on dates? And so I was talking to a few friends and they were like, yeah, I'm open to going on dates and stuff now and all this stuff. I was like, not me. And they were like, what? I was like, I want to get to know people and then see if I want to be in a relationship before I start dating. And they said, well, that to us is what dating is. So basically, then I was thinking about it and really pondering it. And I've mentioned this book a few times, but this book called Single, Dating, Engaged, Married talks about the dating stage as an evaluation process. So what I was talking about with like, you go out with somebody, you get to know them. That's a date technically, because it's you and one other person. Maybe it's a group date, maybe it's you and that person getting to know each other and you're all in the same friend group, whatever, what have you, however you feel comfortable doing it. But I think I really had to analyze like, what is my definition of dating? And once I thought about it and really reanalyzed it, I realized that dating to me is an evaluation process. It's getting to know somebody. I don't know then what I would call a full-blown relationship. Maybe we get real old school with it. We call it courting. Like, you know what I mean? On the way to being engaged, whatever you want to evaluate that as. But really the whole time before you're engaged, you're really just like, is this the person? You know? And I think what's interesting for me is like, I've made multiple videos about how like I have a big heart and I think that's part of why I've been single for so long and all that good stuff. But I don't know, I think there's a way to not take everything so personally. Like maybe I go out and date with someone and I would have the ability and capacity to be like, hey, this probably didn't work out for us as dating, but I'd love to be your friend, you know? So I think once I reestablished like, what does dating look like to me, I was able to be like, okay, that makes sense. Okay, I think I'm ready to date now. So I just encourage you guys, just for while we're talking about it, like think about like, what is your definition of dating? What does that look like for you? How would you want it to look? What are you willing to do? What are you not willing to do? All that good stuff. All right, so I prayed, God, I'm ready to date. Let's do it. He was like, okay, so like, are you open to dating? Like, are you open? Like, what are you open to? And I was like, well, anybody really. He was like, anybody? And I said, okay, wait, let's run that back. Not anybody. Like, they need to have these qualities that me and you have discussed and come to, and I need to see fruit of that as we're dating, and then I would be able to tell if they're the one. He said, okay, cool. Also, like, do you care about the package all of this comes in? And I thought about it. I said, to an extent. Now, here's the thing. I'm not gonna worry about if the person I'm interested in or dating is attractive, because here's the thing. I know God and I love God and he loves me and he knows me. He is not going to present me with a husband or a man that I don't find attractive, that is not attractive. Also, let's talk about it. The Bible says being equally yoked. It's talking about being on the same page about things. It's talking about, you know, both being believers, all that good stuff. I personally think it also pertains to being fine. I know I'm cute. I know I'm fine. Therefore, my husband will also be cute and also be fine. And I know for some of y'all on that one, the math may not be mathing, but to me it makes perfect sense, and that's how I feel. We are going to be on the same page about everything. And also I do think that attraction can grow, and if it's something that like I look at somebody and I'm like, okay, you're cute, that like as I get to know them, be like, oh my god, you're so fine. Like, you know what I mean? I think, because I think it could happen backwards too, be like, oh my gosh, you're so fine, but you're the worst, so no thank you. Like, I think that's also possible. So that was one thing I came to, was like, I just want to be attracted to them. And again, I've talked about this before. Your girl is 5'11". I'm 5'10 3/4", but I tell people 5'11" because it's quicker. So I would like to date a man that's at least 6'3". And I think it's okay that I make a humble request to God in that way. Now, if I was like 5'2", no shade to my 5'2" girls. I have a friend who's like 5'2", 5'3". We joke about this all the time. If I was 5'2", 5'3", and I wanted a man a full foot taller than me, I don't think that'd be fair to say. Like, I think that's like, okay, let me leave some for the tall girls. Y'all hear me, short girls? I know we ain't got no beef. It's all love, but sometimes how I feel. Anyways, but yeah, so that was something for me. I was like, okay, I wanted to be 6'3" and have all these qualities. Then God came for me. He was like, okay, well, what about race? I said, that's a tough one, ain't it? Because transparently, I've grown up in a home with a black mom and a black dad. So I've seen black love my entire life growing up. And then I went to an HBCU. And growing up, I really only had crushes on black boys. Except I had one white boy crush one time. And yeah. And so then I was like, okay, doesn't matter what race they are. And I'm gonna be honest with you, with the way race relations are set up in America, it was a point of thought. That one took me longer to think about, because I think I had to realize at the end of the day, the man who has all the qualities I want, and I don't even say all the qualities I want, all the qualities me and God have discussed, and a man who will be able to lead me, that man cannot be racist just because of all the other implications of everything else. That man cannot be a racist man. And I also realized that what's really important to me is what's inside of a person, and I have to not worry about like if people will be like, have opinions about it, like how it will look. You know what I mean? Because when you start doing interracial dating, there are other implications that people make up in their heads just when they see you without even having a conversation, without hearing you out. But for me, that was something I had to be like, you know what, honestly, I actually don't care. And it's about to get real transparent in here, guys. At first, I was like, yeah, any race. And so he listed them off. He was like, this one? I said, this one, this one, this one? I said, yeah. And then he was like, what about a white man? And I was like, okay, here's the thing. My people and their people have had some situations, and I'm nervous. Because what if he has a grandma who's super racist? Or what if he has a mom who's super racist? What if he grew up in a super racist town? And like all these things came up for me. And then again, I had to realize, first of all, God's not gonna put me with someone who is racist. Like, he wouldn't do that to me. So as long as I'm trusting him and leaning into him, that should not be an issue. And again, it doesn't really matter what people say or what people think. All that matters is love. Now, the problem would be if I was like, I don't like black men. Black men are the worst. I can't stand when people do that, because that's a lot of self-hate that is no black man or black woman's fault. So because that's not my vibe, I don't think I would feel bad about dating outside of my race. And I also do understand there'd be a lot of cultural things to explain, but I think no matter who you date, there are cultural things to explain, because where you grew up could be different. Like, who your friends are could be different. Where you went to college could be different. There are so many things to explain about yourself to a person anyways, that let's add race to the list. Let's add culture to the list. Let's, you know what I mean, add those things to the list. Why not? And I think that I'm okay with that. And so that's something I encourage y'all to think about. When you say, I'm open to whatever, God, or I'm open to dating, let's do it. Like, what does open mean? Like, how open are you? And it is okay if you're like, I actually don't feel comfortable dating outside my race. Maybe that's not for you. That's honestly fine. But for me, I realized that I'd be okay with it, and I'm open to it. And yeah, that was just my personal journey and conversation with God, is that I'm open to dating outside my race. But I know a lot of people aren't. And I personally don't think that's a bad thing. I don't think, because I do understand it's a lot to explain sometimes, but I'd be okay with it personally. So just encourage you guys to think, like, what how open am I? Like, have a conversation with God, see what questions he asks you about it, and how open he wants you to be, you know? So while we're ready to date and ready to be open, we need to start going out more. I saw this TikTok. I might insert it here. Here it is.
I thought you were kidding! I thought it was a joke! I even wrote it down in my diary! Veronica had a very funny joke today! I laughed at it later that night!
So I'm lying. It was actually a reel. I saw a reel, and it was just so funny to me because I was like, yo, high key though, I gotta leave my house. Like, he's not in here. Like, me and my sister live together. He's not in here. Like, I need to leave the house. And I work from home, so leaving the house is a whole thing. So I'm like, okay, I need to get out the house more. I need to go social places, all that good stuff. I've started going to the gym. I will peruse at the gym. I've never gone up to anybody because that's not my vibe. And no one's ever come up to me because that's not the vibe. But, you know, that's the one place I go where I'm like, okay, I'm getting out the house. Because I mean, the grocery store, other things like that. But I am trying to think of like, Lisa, you need to be more social. You need to get out and go places because he's not in your house. I don't know how else to say it. He's not in here. I don't see him. Can't find him. He's not in here. So we have to get out more if we want to start dating. And I will say, I'll do a quick little story time. I'll throw a story in here. So I was out in LA when I was out in LA in August for business. And I was out with some friends and we were at this place and we got drinks. And this man comes over to me. He was a little tipsy and he was like talking to me while I was on the menu. He was just talking to me. He was standing real close to me and he was kind of cute. Mind you, your girl had on a t-shirt and some biker shorts, no makeup, and he came all the way across the room. I saw when he walked back to his table, he was on the other side of the room. And he was kind of cute and we were talking and all this stuff. And then he walked away and my friends are really like, oh, okay, he was trying to holler at you. He thought you was fine. And then later he came up more drunk and like hugged me from behind. It was like, yo, I got your drinks. And then like his friends pulled him away because he was drunk. But I was like, Lisa, pulling a man from across the room? Go on, sis. Not only just across the room, you ain't got no makeup on. You out here casual, pulling a man from across the room. And after I was done being hype on myself, I was thinking about it. I was like, God, you know what? I thank you for that moment because it reminded me. I mean, not even reminded me. I didn't know I was capable of such things. I didn't know. That's never happened to me before. So it was cool to know, like, if I go out more and I could meet people and even just talk to people and talk to guys, maybe make some new friends, maybe meet a man to go on a date with, stuff like that. Like, if I just left the house, like, what the possibilities are endless. And I will say for me, online dating isn't a thing. I've talked about it in a few different videos and stuff about why it's not a thing for me. And I've tried, even in my adulthood when I'm more secure in myself and more sure of who I am, and it's never a thing. I just really get sexualized very easily and very quickly. I started this Christian dating app and it didn't go so hot. Not because anybody was being sexual, which I'm thankful for because it was a Christian dating app, but like, just though I do know things go down in the DMs on a Christian dating app. Let me not be, you know what I'm saying? Anyways, but on this one, nothing was happening. I just didn't feel like I would get on it and I'd be like, God, what am I doing? This isn't for me. Like, he would just be like, this is a distraction. And I was like, good point. And I'd turn it off and go do what I was supposed to be doing, which is probably homework, probably work, probably something more productive than swiping on men. And I also realized I'm very scared of just randomly meeting up with someone off the internet. And that is the purpose of online dating. So, not for me, not my vibe. But for some people, it really works out. So, whatever it looks like for you, I encourage you to think, like, what does getting out there mean to me? Does it mean getting on an app and then going on a date? Does it mean, like, going out more with my friends and then seeing what we see, seeing where the people at? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that is something I've been thinking about a lot lately. So these are just a few things that you can start thinking about when you say I'm ready to date, when you're thinking about like, but what does that really mean? What does that look like for me? What does that sound like for me? And if you want more tips on stuff like this, more thoughts on that, I have a book that I put out called Living Single. You can get a copy of that. I have a lot of concepts and ideas similar to the ones I went over in this video about, like, you know, when you have to ask the what are we question, you know what I mean? And all that kind of stuff. So about being single, about dating, and all that good stuff. So I hope this was helpful. and I appreciate you guys watching. If you have any thoughts on like living single lessons I can do later, put them down below. Any questions you have, put them down below. Message me on Instagram. You know what I mean? If you want to be a little more private about it, you don't want everybody knowing your business, I get it, you know? All right, so I appreciate you guys watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hope it helped you think about stuff, and yeah, bye!